Now this has caught us slightly by surprise, LNG, Omakans one and all, less than happy band. We're scuttling through our program, trying to ascertain what's afoot, or what's a flight. It is a chipmunk. It is indeed. But who beeth in it, we know not. We've been a little bit spoilt for chipmunks this weekend, actually, with that beautiful formation of 8 of them this morning.
Look at that.
And here we have another chipmunk being masterfully displayed in its role as an aerobatic trainer. Just a roll on top of the loop. Nice stall turn.
Stall turn, yes.
Energy management. Now the trick with trainers, they're a hard aircraft to design, aren't they? I was talking to a couple of the pilots yesterday who flew Harvards or fly Harvards, and they actually were explaining how the designers had built complexity into the design in terms of turning the fuel tanks on and off and other operations and sequences that had to be complied with in order to ensure that trainee pilots mastered the tricks of other more advanced aircraft of the age and the time and the era. This aircraft has to be unforgiving, but it also has to, in certain circumstances, give the trainee pilot a realistic sense of what might go wrong in a more powerful aircraft further on in their career with an Air Force.
Absolutely right, and of course with the American trainers of World War II, they were effectively coded, for want of a better way to put it, where you had airplanes like the Stearman, which was a PT, which stood for primary trainer, airplanes that went to the next stage of complexity. Instead of just a very simple airplane, they introduced things like constant speed propeller. They went into the basic trainer class, or BT. And then when the Harvard came along, or as we call it, you were in now the AT class, or advanced training, which threw in additional things like retractable undercarriage. So with each stage, as the student went through his flight training, he was just picking up a little bit more complexity, which of course meant that he could involve himself with aircraft, which became progressively more complex, which led them into the fighters. And of course, yes, fighter aircraft have to have constant speed propellers, have to have flaps and retractable undercarriage in order to manage the range of speed they need to perform.
You watch that and you just think, don't you, if you learn to fly, you would want to be learning in one of those. There's just watching its conduct in the sky gives you a sense of immediate and total reassurance, doesn't it? You just think, yes, that looks like a very safe and enjoyable piece of kit to have wrapped around you.
And you're right, they have a wonderful record. Historically, the Chipmunk flew in military service for nearly half a decade, or half a century, I beg your pardon. That sort of longevity doesn't come from an aeroplane unless it's extremely good at its job and extremely durable, and the Chipmunk certainly fits that criteria. Of course, the Harvard did too.
It did.
It had a very long history as a trainer, here in New Zealand all the way to 77, and in South Africa, like the South African aircraft you see over there, they ran their Harvards all the way to 1995. So,
well, I don't know how many people are here from Christchurch. If you are, you might want to wave right now, because an awful lot of, yes, there we are, got quite a few Christchurch people, certainly to the west and to the east. Well, most of you, certainly those over 40, will remember the absolutely inimitable sound of a Harvard. What do you think of the impersonation there, the sound effect? Graham, you looked astonished.
Frighteningly well. You did that amazingly well. You obviously are a genuine Christchurch native.
I am.
Otherwise, you couldn't have possibly replicated that sound so accurately.
But my best boyhood memory of things in the sky over schools was the Avro Vulcan over here at Christchurch South Intermediate when they opened Rongotai Airfield in Wellington, the commercial airfield that people fly into now. Chipmunk touches down. The Vulcan touched down in Wellington too. Actually, it didn't touch down in Christchurch. It flew over, but of course it caught a gust, and it was driven into the runway with a down gust. and pushed its undercarriage through the fuel tank and limped back to Ohaki, spewing avgas